From Toyota Stadium in St. Louis, you're watching the USL as tonight St. Louis FC play host to Orange County SC in a Western Conference clash. This evening, St. Louis FC match is brought to you by the Cheshire St. Louis and LHM. For bookings and more information, visit www.cheshirestl.com. Chris Whittingham alongside Ken Levicka for commentary of this one. St. Louis FC coming off a postponed match a week ago against Tulsa Roughnecks. It lasted all of about 8 minutes before it was eventually called off due to lightning in the area. Orange County thrashing Swope Park Rangers 4-0 in midweek and come in as one of the league's top teams. We have a look at some of the goals from that midweek victory, Ken.
Yeah, you look at what they're able to bring to the table from an offensive standpoint. Third most goals in the USL, 36. That's most in the Western Conference. But the defense is what has really driven them on the road. They are conceding at the top rate of any team in the USL away from home. They are outstanding. They're maybe the most complete squad in the USL, which is why they've risen to fourth in the Western Conference.
And you saw Thomas Enevoldsen getting in on the scoring. He is USL's top scorer with 11. No doubt the player to watch for Orange County tonight. He'll start up top alongside Michael Seaton. Orange County have been flying towards the top of the Western Conference. Meanwhile, kind of mid-table at the moment, our St. Louis player on the bench this evening, but he will be departing after this game is Aiden Stanley, their left back. He's our Toyota player to watch.
Yeah, he's actually headed to Duke. He's going to start his college soccer career after tonight, and he ends up being a big hole in the back four. As you said, Chris, coming off the bench tonight, he just got back from the U.S. men's national team under-20 camp in Raleigh, so perhaps want to make sure that as a second-half sub, Anthony Poulos has fresh legs from his youngster, Aiden Stanley. But what a summer he had for St. Louis FC and for the drive to get into the postseason. They are not going to be a better team because he's not in the lineup.
No doubt, as a 17-year-old getting regular first-team action with 11 starts in the campaign before heading off to Duke in the fall. It's St. Louis FC. They need some victories to catch up to that 8th and final playoff spot in the Western Conference. They play host to Orange County SC, and it's next.
A lottery ticket is so much more than a piece of paper. It's wonder, opportunity, dreams. And not just for players. 100% of the profits from every Missouri Lottery ticket you play goes back to schools, teachers, and students. Play it forward with the Missouri Lottery.
There's really only one place where the carpets are always red and the stars are everywhere you look. There's no place like Hollywood. Hollywood Casino St. Louis.
When you need quality electrical work for your home or business, look to theelectricalconnection.org. Created as a partnership between IBEW Local 1 electricians and the St. Louis chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association, the Electrical Connection has been setting the standard for electrical excellence in St. Louis for over 100 years. You can depend on our highly skilled and trained workforce, your #1 source for quality electrical and communication contractors, electricalconnection.org.
This is my Toyota RAV4. It's more tech-savvy than I am. It comes standard with Toyota Safety Sense. Similar features would cost over $6,000 more in a Nissan Rogue. I don't know tech, but I know a good deal. And for that, I give my RAV4 5 stars.
Tested, trusted Toyota. Get $2,000 customer cash on a 2018 RAV4 or get 0% APR for 48 months plus $1,000 bonus cash. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
St. Louis FC playing host to Orange County tonight, but their previous meeting was back in Southern California. It ended up finishing 1-1 between the two sides. Here would be the Orange County goal. Ended up being an own goal off of Fanuel Cavita. In the end, that would give them the 1-0 advantage, but St. Louis would eventually find the equalizer through Lewis Hilton. He's having another look there at the own goal coming off of Cavita off the service from Aiden Quinn. And here would be the equalizer from St. Louis. Kavita doing some work on that right-hand side to make amends. Comes into the area for Kadeem Dakers, slid in for Lewis Hilton, who places it perfectly into that top corner.
This was back on May 12th, and this was one of the results of the season for St. Louis FC. Hilton with the equalizer in the 82nd minute. Hilton not in the starting 11 tonight for St. Louis FC. Some inflammation, some injury concerns with him. We'll get to that in a moment.
Let's get to our starting lineups. They are presented by Schlafly, and here is Orange County. Thomas Enevoltson, the danger man to keep an eye on up top. He leads the league with 11 goals.
He is just prolific, and you also see Mark Schegbers in the midfield. He is a very dynamic player that really helps shape the Orange County attack.
Meanwhile, for St. Louis, 2 players tonight that have started every game of the league campaign out, they being Sam Fink at the back and the aforementioned Lewis Hilton in central midfield.
Both of them tied for the team lead in minutes this season. Guys you depend on to be in the lineup, and they are not there. Though, Corey Herzog, you have him back. He was back against Tulsa for 8 minutes and 10 seconds last weekend, so now you get a full 90 out of him.
Just about set to get started here. And we are indeed underway. Orange County will get us started going from left to right in their road whites with the black and orange trim. The host St. Louis going from right to left in their customary green and blue. St. Louis FC coming in, having played a little bit last weekend against Tulsa Roughnecks, but could not complete a game due to lightning in the St. Louis area. They played about 8 minutes, and then the game was eventually called off. So their last match in the league saw them 2 weeks ago losing 1-0 at the hands of Las Vegas Lights. They have not actually scored in a game since the 23rd of June. They have not won a game since the 9th of June. So a bit of a struggle for St. Louis at the moment. They are currently 6 points off of the final place in the Western Conference. Orange County, meanwhile, flying at the moment. 4-0 victors in midweek, 3-0 victors last Saturday against San Antonio. They currently sit 4th in the Western Conference and have the best goals allowed and goal differential record in the USL Western Conference.
This is one of the best road teams in the USL as well. Meanwhile, St. Louis, one of the least offensively prolific teams at home this season. Only 6 home goals this year for St. Louis FC. They've only conceded 5, so they're strong defensively, but they need to pick up the goal scoring in the attack at home.
St. Louis as well dealing with a few injuries, as they really have throughout this campaign. Tonight we mentioned Lewis Hilton out. Sam Fink is on the bench. Not entirely sure if that's due to injury or just sort of a needed rest after starting every game of the league campaign. Also tonight without Kadeem Dakers and Jonathan Barden. St. Louis have not the deepest team. They actually only have 5 substitutes available and have kind of dealt with a steady stream of injuries throughout the campaign.
Yeah, injuries and fitness have been an issue for head coach Anthony Poulos now for the last 2 months or so. I was actually in St. Louis last weekend for the 8 minutes and 10 seconds that were played against Tulsa, and then the 2 hours that were sat waiting to see if there was actually going to be soccer. I'm curious to see how St. Louis comes out after basically having 2 weeks off. Meanwhile, Orange County coming off of 4 days off, and they're flying high. You mentioned it, 7 goals to none conceded in their last 2 matches, and this is a squad that is not only 4th in the Western Conference, but certainly trending upward at this point.
As the throw-in is in for Pierre Da Silva, one of the short-term loanees of St. Louis FC. This has been kind of a steady stream of Orlando City players. Anthony Poulos, the St. Louis manager, does have a background with Orlando City, having managed the Orlando City B side the last couple of seasons. So you've seen Tony Roca come through. He actually started in MLS today for Orlando City. Kim Lindley and Pierre Da Silva were on short-term loans against Colorado Springs earlier in the campaign. Da Silva returns for a 2-game loan this time. Just kind of need fresh bodies at the moment to St. Louis FC, as we can kind of run through their deployment. There's Tomas Gomez, the goalkeeper. Former USL Golden Glove winner in 2016 and 17 with Rochester Rhinos. Back for tonight of Kavita, Ledbetter, Reynolds, and Culbertson at left back. As Gomez sends along a midfield 4 of Da Silva, Wallfall, Tony Walls, and Joey Calistri. And up top, Albert Diqua, the returning Albert Diqua, and Corey Herzog.
You have two St. Louis natives, or at least those with strong connections to St. Louis, between both pipes tonight. Thomas Gomez, of course, St. Louis native, and someone who has been so strong for St. Louis this season. He has resembled this year the damage he did at Rochester with those Golden Glove Awards. And then Andre Rawls, who came up through the St. Louis Academy and is from St. Louis.
Dequa takes off the chest. I mentioned Rawls not with the team, kind of the dangers of relying on MLS loanees.
Yep.
If you play well enough, they go back to their clubs, as Rawls has with NYCFC. Now, Orange County has had a few players kind of go back and forth. Alex Cronali is one of them, but Andre Rawls not with the team at the moment. So they actually have another MLS loanee in goal tonight, Orange County, that being Luis Lopez, the Honduran.
St. Louis early on, you want to see some urgency from them. They have 3 games in hand, and that's one of the quirks of what they're facing right now. Yes, they're on the outside of the playoff picture by 6 points in the table. That said, the 3 games in hand, that could certainly erase that. This, though, would be a chance to send a message. This is the type of match that could completely turn around how they're playing at home and, past the midway point of the season, their journey to be in the Final 8.
Couple of crunching tackles there in the center of the park yields a free kick for Orange County. Those central midfielders, Tony Walls and Wall Fall, snapping in. This is taken short here with Kevin Alston at right back, the ex-New England Revolution and Orlando City right back. Has actually been in camps with the United States, but it did not eventually earn a cap, as the ball was slid through into the path of Mats Bierman and picked up by Tomas Gomez. So we mentioned their current predicament, St. Louis having games in hand, 3 on Fresno, currently sit 8th in the final playoff spot in the Western Conference. St. Louis 6 points off, but do have 3 games in hand, but not necessarily automatically mean those turn into 3 points.
No.
In order to match them on record, on their current record, they would need 2 wins and a draw, because Fresno currently sit on 7-7-7 through 21 matches. As it falls nicely for Calistri. Dequa tries to slide it towards that back post, and Herzog cut out well, though, by Walker Hume.
But still, that is encouraging there for St. Louis FC, and they're trying to capitalize off a giveaway that ended up being in their attacking third. Now you'd like to see an attempt on goal.
As he crosses again, swung in towards Herzog. Dealt with well by Orange County. Now the counterattack is on Seton, trying to flip over Sean Reynolds. And again, easy work for Gomez.
Last Saturday, so frustrating for St. Louis FC. They come in, Tulsa's in town. That's obviously a Tulsa club that has struggled through a good portion of this season. You think to yourself, we could get 3 points. We can put ourselves in a better position. And you get 8 minutes of soccer. Never really had a good window of weather to play in. You sat for 2 hours, and then they call the match. So now you have to sit and wait another week, and you got 8 minutes of tune-up for Orange County, one of the best teams in the league.
There's Mark Segbers on this right-hand side, going to play it here for Kevin Alston. Good initial ball to find the run of Segbers, but Quinn's clipped an attempt into the area to no one in particular. And now a counterattacking opportunity is on here for Calistri. The run of Dequa was available. He elects instead to play in Herzog. Here's Corey Herzog. Caught in 2 minds there. Took multiple deflections on the way through. Appeals for handball. Not given. In the end, Orange County fine with conceding a throw.
It did look like in the run of play there definitely was a hand on the ball. Not sure that that would have been purposeful or a hand was in an unnatural position, but that's what Herzog can do now that he's back from injury. And he struggled with a hamstring for several weeks. Looked good there. His touch failed him, but a throw in the attacking third now.
As Herzog tries to slide the return, the cross was not able to have been kept in play there by Culbertson, so it comes out for a goal kick.
In the last meeting between these two clubs back in May, it was St. Louis with 13 shots, only 3 on goal. That percentage needs to go up. That's been one of their issues all season. The percentage of shots on goal compared to actual shots taken has not been very high. You need to test Orange County, especially without a keeper that's been so strong with them so all season long. No Rawls tonight. Make him work. Test him. Take some ambitious shots and make sure that he's equal to the task.
Luis Lopez still, though, with some real solid quality, earned the promotion from the Honduran Club League to LAFC. He's currently on loan from LAFC. LAFC do have an agreement with Orange County to send some players over on loan, so Lopez getting some games with Tyler Miller, their #1, cemented in that job. Started twice and earned 2 clean sheets. Saved all 6 shots he's faced. Now Seaton has a pocket of space. The 1-2 is played with Anna Voltson. Instead of trying to shoot or play towards Segbers on that near side, he elects to try and flick on for Seaton, but a bit too heavy.
It was well constructed. You saw it developing, and St. Louis backpedaling defensively at the last moment. What a back heel. But it was well defended ultimately by Ledbetter, who was able to mark his man, and that allowed Gomez to get there, cover it up, and no harm done.
Yeah, it was Quinn who had the good flick, as now Dikwa is in towards the penalty area. The cross is towards Herzog! And what an intervention by Kevin Alston to prevent the opening goal from St. Louis.
Talk about a counter. That happened extremely quickly. And Herzog once again with a dangerous opportunity in the box. The cross was just behind him. He had to reach back, and that's why it ended up getting broken up. And it may have been deflected, the cross as well. Punched up over the bar, but we'll see our first cross of the night for St. Louis.
And it is our first Electro Savings corner of the match. For every goal scored by St. Louis FC off a corner, Electro Savings will be donating $100 to a St. Louis charity. To be swung in by Pierre Da Silva, lofted towards that penalty spot. Dikwa getting something on it, but well high and wide.
Yeah, Dikwa a bit off balance. He was already backpedaling and couldn't put anything on that. But all of a sudden, the action is picked up. You have a great opportunity on one side for Orange County. St. Louis comes back the other way, toe for toe, and it's looking through 11 minutes now, a bit similar to what we saw on May 12th, which was fairly equally played in Orange County.
You did see, though, Dikwa charging on. We've seen him throughout this campaign be a real danger man for St. Louis. And the Cameroonian has 2 goals and 2 assists to show for it, but has real quality and inspiration going forward for St. Louis. And St. Louis have not actually scored since he temporarily left the lineup. Last 2 matches without a goal. Here's Fall. And Kavita moves from right back to right center back this evening. A little bit of a change in the deployment of this St. Louis side, with Austin Ledbetter coming in at right back. Well done by Culbertson to keep it in play. And a lovely little flick there for Culbertson. Da Silva trying to play it towards Dikwa. Referee Malik Badawi not interested.
He's going to say that feet got tangled up. That was incidental, and there was no purpose to that takedown.
Kevin Alston, Aiden Quinn, who has scored a fair amount from the penalty spot this year for Orange County, has 6 assists as well. Towards the top of the assist charts is Walker Hume will put it out of play. At the moment, it looks like Kantar Wusu Ansa. A little bit worse for the wear at the moment. Didn't really see any real incident that would cause him to be injured. But
well, it happened in the collision that St. Louis felt should have been a foul, as St. Louis was marching down the turf, and it looks like he's clutching at his ankle. And again, the referee saying that the contact was incidental, and I believe it was Dikwa that he got tangled up with. And so the trainers are going to come out and take a look at him. Owusu Ansa so solid in the back for Orange County, someone that they need. And St. Louis, the defense is their calling card. That's what keeps them in matches. They're not a dynamic scoring team. Orange County, I think, lost in how strong they are offensively is how good this defense is. They have only conceded 6 goals away from home all season long. 3 in the first half, 3 in the second half. That is hard to do. That is outstanding. They're just as good, if not better, defensively than they are. 36 goals on the offensive side, and Wusuwansa getting some treatment.
See there that defensive record with one of the best defensive sides in USL and Pittsburgh Riverhounds. So if you're keeping company with them, you are a very solid defensive side, but it's very often via possession and via attacking that Orange County in some respects defend. They do very well to keep the ball. Just as I say that, they nearly give it away. Quinn and Ami Pineda, or rather Mats Bierman. We'll see a fair amount of positional interchange. Thomas and Evolson coming out to that left-hand side. Orange County did make the playoffs a year ago, finishing 5th in the Western Conference, going out to Swope Park Rangers on penalties. So this is a side that expects to compete, but a much different side than a year ago. It's a lovely flick on there from Seaton to find the run of Thomas and Evolson. The Dane who's hit the ground running in USL. Alston and Segbers. Flick towards Quinn. This is lovely build up. The 1-2 attempted on the edge of the area with Bierman, but cut out well by St. Louis, who will look to counter through Calistri. The header is eventually taken down by Dequa. Now Calistri with a lovely little meg of the defender there. I mean, Pineda won't want to watch that.
This is such good patience, though, from Orange County. And yes, St. Louis FC, they are good defensively. They finally closed it down as it approached the area, but Orange County's buildup has been absolutely superb. Oh, go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, as it relates to Orange County looking a bit differently than a year ago, there is actually only one player on the pitch that starts tonight that started for them in their last league match of last year, that being Walker Hume. Not a ton of returners. You do see that a fair amount in USL, but this Orange County team will probably be looked to be kept together given how well they've done. This has been, you'd have to say, one of the best sides in the league. Even though they are currently sitting 4th in the West, you look at the goal difference, plus 21. That has you believing that this team can go and win it.
They're 4th in the West, and they only sit 5 points outside of the top of the table in the Western Conference. So they are right there. And I think Orange County, better than any club in the USL, offensively, they build up instead of sending long balls forward. As I say that, they send a long ball forward.
We've had a few commentators' curses tonight.
But their organization and their patience, I think offensively, they are the most aesthetically pleasing and most clinical offensive side.
As they do earn the corner off of that long ball from Quinn. He will head over to take it. As you do see a packed house, particularly that corner is where the St. Louligans reside. Give a little stick to Aiden Quinn as he attempts to swing in the corner. It's a decent one towards the edge of the area. Won, though, by Dequa. Settled nicely by Pineda and lofted in by Alston. Flicked on header there by Yul Nielsen, who stayed forward. The center back directs his header to no one in particular.
You see the St. Louis FC defense. This is a calling card of theirs. Their marking is generally always good, especially on aerial crosses into the box, and they rarely are letting anything within 4 or 5 yards of the 6-yard box, and that's exactly what happened there. You are not going to score on a header from 15 yards out, and that was the only option that Orange County was going to get.
As Calistri does play it off a white shirt to earn the throw. Austin Ledbetter who will take it. Just turned 23 last Sunday. MLS Super Draft pick of FC Dallas and then moved to St. Louis from there. Made 14 appearances a year ago. As a poor giveaway there in the center of the park there by Tony Walls. But Culbertson doing well to get the tackle in and play it for Da Silva. Charging through into the area. Pierre Da Silva goes down. The referee says no penalty. And we'll play on as Culbertson tries to play the cross, and it's off of Quinn and out for a throw.
Da Silva did so well to get past 3 defenders and then lost the touch momentarily, and he tried to drag his foot and draw contact.
As it's lofted in by Herzog. Kalistri will take it in off the chest. Going down there was in Evoltson. It'll come out here to Ledbetter. And Fall going to try and play the 1-2 with Dikwa. Dikwa in the area, comes off the bar. Albert Dikwa with a golden opportunity to open the scoring for St. Louis.
Oh, the ball by Wallfall to Dikwa. Open him up on his left foot. Look at this pass. Played through expertly, one touch. Dikwa turns, fires. He had Lopez beat, and he puts it off the bar. But that was well done. Fall read that perfectly. So much space to work with, and now Orange County's on notice.
Fall was actually trying to play the 1-2 because he kept his run going, and Herzog was also frustrated that he didn't receive the ball, but Dikwa in that kind of shooting position, 12 yards from goal, he has to strike.
Yeah, the frustration might be there, and I saw that as well, but Dikwa did the right thing because as soon as he put it on his left foot, everything opened up for him, and he got enough pace on that shot just off the mark. I think Dikwa made the right play.
You can see the inspiration he does provide to this attack. Two of the better chances so far. Here's Anna Voltson. Roll into the path of Alston. Segbers comes back to retrieve. Space on this left-hand side. It does eventually find Owusu-Ansah. And now Quinn to clip in the cross. It's towards Seaton. Diving header on it. Came off of Kavita on the way through. Danger in there for handball, but in the end, a foul given against Orange County. It'll be a free kick.
Neither of these midfields are putting up much resistance right now. Both of these clubs are getting to the attacking third quite easily. This was an ambitious attempt by Seaton to put it on goal. And yes, there was a danger of handball in there, but nobody made a motion to the referee. Culbertson looks like he's okay, but back and forth we go. This is fun, and this is shaping up as two teams, one in Orange County who has design set on the top of the table, and St. Louis who knows they have to get 3 points tonight at home against one of the top teams in the league.
Both teams showing some decent creative inspiration, as here is Da Silva, the native of Port Chester, New York, 19 years of age. Another short-term loan will play in this game and in next week's match against Reno 1868. A couple of 2-week loans St. Louis have had this season as the ball is clipped again towards Da Silva. He'll take it off the chest. Decent intervention there from Segbers, who eventually clears. Well taken there by Reynolds, but will come straight for Segbers, who just lets it run out of play. Fourth throw.
Da Silva's worked himself seamlessly into the St. Louis attack. For someone who's only on his second spell with this club this year, on loan from Orlando City, looks good, looks dynamic, and you can see why Orlando City is high on him, and they want him to get some reps. He right now isn't fitting into their rotation, but you see how good he is on the ball and how he can make a player look silly one-on-one. He owned Segbers until Segbers was able to finally recover and muscle him off the ball.
Anthony Poulos, the manager of St. Louis, did manage the B side in Orlando, so he's familiar with those players. Orlando recently changing manager, and James O'Connor not wanting to send his players out on long-term loans in case he needs them, but we'll see a steady matriculation of players coming through.
Poulos and O'Connor have a good relationship with one another. It just makes sense to continue that pipeline with Orlando City and St. Louis.
That was awkward there from Culbertson. He thought he was going to be able to get onto it, but the bounce that it took off the turf sent him into a lunging challenge that thankfully only results in a throw-in for St. Louis.
Segbers took a bit of contact, and Segbers is a St. Louis FC Academy product. He has been strong for Orange County this season. Couple of goals, and he is extremely quick and physical.
The opportunity for a long throw to be swinging by Alston. It is towards that 6-yard area. Gomez off his line. Didn't get to it, but dealt with relatively easily by Fall. And now Dikwa goes down under the challenge of Alston. It'll be a free kick for St. Louis.
Chris, I'm a fan of those throws into the area, and we've seen it more and more at the international level. It's become trendy. We remember in Euros 2 years ago, Iceland, that became sort of their identity. Where in the attacking third, they're just launching into the box. They scored a goal against England in their victory that way. I think you should see that more and more and more. And you saw how Gomez struggled a little bit. He had to weave his way through traffic to punch it away, and it almost resulted in an Orange County opportunity. I'd be okay if clubs continued to do that and made it part of their game plan. Long throws into the box can be very dangerous.
You basically turn a throw-in into a set piece.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
As Dikwa with a lovely chest to Herzog. And now Da Silva to try and send the left-footed cross in. Might bounce for Lopez, who does eventually get around Dikwa and get his hands onto it.
That was well done by Lopez. The turf sometimes causes the funny bounce with that ball, and Lopez looked like he was going to overrun it for a moment or have to be in a position to not have the ball deflected off him for a corner, and he reached back and clubbed that fairly expertly.
Dikwa, and now a first-time ball over the top there by Tony Walls. It's a good one for Calistri, who takes it down very well around multiple defenders. Leaves it for Dikwa, and now Ledbetter. Decent start to this match. It's a poor ball, though, from Kavita. St. Louis and Orange County only playing for the third time for a couple of sides in USL that have been around for a few years. They were in different conferences, though. St. Louis moving to the West with an influx of Eastern Seaboard sides. So St. Louis and Orange County only had met once before this season in 2016, as it's a lovely 1-2 work for Ene Voltson, the league's leading goal scorer, and a straightforward save for Tomas Gomez.
That is good stuff from Orange County. We have seen the 1-2 3 or 4 different times now, and unable to get a great look at Gomez's goal yet. Ene Voltson chunked that one, and that easily hopped up into the forearms of Gomez. But it's clear that St. Louis FC is having a hard time defending that. Pretty precision passing by Orange County, one of the best passing sides in the USL.
And Braden Cloutier, their first-year manager, talked to him earlier on in the season, says they want to be a progressive attacking side that goes out and scores goals in creative fashion. And as you said, Ken, earlier, they're one of the sides in USL that's easiest on the eye, the way that they try and build up and create chances. They have the skilled technical players to do it around the park. As this match is brought to you by Toyota, be sure to visit one of the local 7 St. Louis area Toyota dealers. We are at the Toyota Stadium this evening. Looks to be pretty close to a sellout crowd. USL announcing in the week that they have reached over 1.5 million attendees of games. Ene Voltson's in the area. It comes across, takes a deflection off Ledbetter on the way through. And that's just the kind of shooting range that Ene Voltson has profited off of multiple times this campaign, but Ledbetter doing well to defend.
Ene Voltson, a veteran presence, someone who has plied his trade overseas, and he has fit in seamlessly into what Cloutier wants with Orange County. And you saw him change gears at the last moment. Knew he probably was not going to get around the right back, but able to put it off him for a corner, and he made it look easy.
Ene Voltson joining from the Eredivisie in Holland, from Breda. As the cross is lofted, and Hume getting a powerful header on it, off the line, and dealt with well by Joey Calistri.
That came out of nowhere. Gomez appeared to be beaten. He reacted extremely late to that, and Calistri was camped out on the near post. Look at that header by Hume. That came out of nowhere. There was more pace on that than I initially thought, and Calistri's the one who keeps it from being a 1-0 game.
Not a ton of pace on the service. And so for Hume to generate that powerful of a header required quite the snap of the neck, but forcing the solid work there from Calistri. Here's Quinn. Decently flighted ball towards Segbers, but cut out by Culbertson. Just try and send it forward, but it's Ami Pineda who will pick it up.
Orange County now, the field has certainly started to tilt towards Thomas Gomez's goal. They are starting to be comfortable in possession. They will end up, I would think, if this continues, owning possession after 1 half of soccer. St. Louis FC needs to make a concerted effort to at least at some point get out on the counter, push Orange County back a bit, make them think, because right now Orange County is starting to dominate and they are doing whatever they want with their shape and attack.
It's a familiar story as well from St. Louis. They've had a few scoring chances when they were on top in the first 15, 20 minutes, but unable to convert. We saw Dikwa hitting the bar. And also some quality defensive work from Kevin Alston to clear across. There's Owusu-Ansah. Quinn, a lovely ball in towards the area, but no white shirts running onto it. And Gomez claims. St. Louis have only played 8 times at home, one of the lowest numbers in USL. Were meant to play last week at home against Tulsa. That game has been rescheduled for October. But just 8 home matches, 3 wins, 3 draws, and 2 losses. One of the odder statistics, there have only been 11 goals scored on this ground in the 8 matches that they've played here. 6-4 and 5 against. So fans this evening looking for a bit more fireworks. They've certainly seen their fair amount of scoring chances, but not too many goals on this campaign nor tonight.
Yeah, Toyota Stadium, this beautiful facility is where offense is going to die. It's been a goal-scoring graveyard this season, which is unusual for a field that is turf, with as quickly as the ball moves and the odd bounces. For this to be a defensive ground is very, very bizarre. It does speak, though, to St. Louis and their ability defensively. They know their ground. They know how to play it. Unfortunately, though, they haven't had the goal scoring to match the defense for the most part.
Feels more like a bout with clinicality than it does with ideas. They certainly do get into quality positions, but don't often finish them, as Owusu-Ansah overlaps on that left-hand side. The crosses towards Seton. Those bounces can be awkward to deal with, and Reynolds gets it away only as far as Ledbetter, who puts it out of play for a throw. Yeah, throw in here for Owusu-Ansah. Not a ton of space to try one of those long throws that you're enamored with, Ken.
He's going to try it.
Still decent power on it. The header comes in, and it's a goal for Orange County. You love those long throws. It results in the opening goal for Orange County. Not too much on the header. I believe it's Bierman who will claim it. And Orange County lead at Toyota Stadium by 1-0.
Owusu-Ansah, and you see Gomez. He's wondering what happened. Just 2 steps, throw, and it is put into the back of the net by Bierman. You're right, Chris. And it beats Gomez to that far post. That's where that long throw-in turns into a set piece. And it's tough to mark that sometimes. Sure enough, 1-0 Orange County.
Not the most stylistic goal, but effective. Just a simple glancing header. You certainly have to question the defending there. How does Mats Bierman end up unmarked 3 yards from goal? Gomez might have been able to get something on it, as straight away the response sought by St. Louis, but the ball just a bit behind Albert Dikwa. Now St. Louis will have to find a bit of attacking impetus after conceding the goal. Here's Dikwa. Hume across. Eventually the service comes out for a throw-in.
Orange County 11-0-1 this season when scoring first in a match. The draw, May 12th against St. Louis.
Ledbetter takes throw. Dikwa trying the back heel cross. Don't see that every day, but easy work in the end for Luis Lopez.
And unfortunately for St. Louis, they are 0-5-3 this season when conceding first. So those numbers, those 2 series of numbers that I just gave you, none of those spell good news for St. Louis FC.
And still an hour to overturn all of that. The other thing, too, in Orange County's favor is once they get in front, they seem to pile it on. This year in victories, they've won 11 times, and in those victories, they've outscored opponents 31-1.
That is an incredible number.
That's 10 clean sheets in 11 victories.
And think about that. They're +7 in their last 2 matches with 2 clean sheets.
So when they get on top, they don't seem to let up. As here is Fall. Tries to poke it through, comes off a Quinn, and now a counter-attacking opportunity on here for Enna Voltson. Plays in Segbers. And now Seton towards the area. His first touch not quite the right one, but it does come out in the end for an Orange County throw.
Orange County has definitely bruised St. Louis FC defensively now. There is too much space for them to navigate in, and you just sense there might be a second goal coming before the half.
You saw, seen a few giveaways as well in midfield from St. Louis. And if Fall finds the right ball, then St. Louis are on their way. As you have a look here at the challenge that eventually seems to have injured Owusu-Ansah a little bit. And there he calls for the sub. guess as Noah Powder will come on as another long throw is sent in. That one dealt with in a far better fashion by Orange County as Dikwa fouls Pineda. He would have been away if not for the whistle from referee Badawi, but it'll be a free kick for Orange County.
And we need to continue to keep an eye on Owusu Ansah for Orange County, because if you recall, he was involved in that collision with Dikwa in the first 12 minutes of this match and was banged up and hobbled, and then he takes a clip in the right ankle, which it appears as if was the same part of the body that was hurt in that collision with Dikwa, and he's feeling it right now.
We saw him signal for the change, and there you see the foul on Pineda from Dikwa.
And that is the right call.
They're just catching a little bit of him, and now an opportunity for Pineda to swing across in. St. Louis playing a very high line at the edge of their 18-yard area. Pineda swings in, and it's a decent bit of service. Getting the header on it was Cavita. We saw him score an own goal in the previous meeting between these two teams, and that one a bit dangerous, but harmlessly away for a corner as Ledbetter is down.
Yeah, Ledbetter took some contact, and he is in pain. And here comes the trainer. And St. Louis FC needs to take this time to regroup a little bit. Unfortunately, it comes at the expense of Ledbetter, but they have been slow and flat-footed. See what happened to Ledbetter. Oh, he took the goalkeeper, Thomas Gomez. Looked like a forearm right to his shoulder. There's the collision. You see it briefly. Ledbetter fully exposed, never saw Gomez coming, and Gomez, who is not a small man by any stretch, full speed, hit him right in the shoulder.
And there is the change coming here for Orange County. They have two fullback options available on the bench, and they go for Joe Amico. So Owusu Ansah's night is done after he picked up that injury. I wonder if that will be like for like, or maybe Alston slides over to the left-hand side, because Amico has mostly played as a right back this year. And so it will be Amico that comes on for Owusu Ansah Kantor.
Pretty eventful 36 minutes, though, for Owusu Ansah. He's part of a couple of key defensive plays, and then also had the throw-in that led to the goal for Orange County, and off he comes.
So it is Amico that will come on. And now we will have a corner after all that. Quinn will swing it in. Bierman again getting something on it, but that one looping onto the roof of the net harmlessly. "35 minutes in, Orange County leading by a goal to nil away from home. And St. Louis FC are home next on August the 4th, taking on Seattle Sounders 2. See the kind of games that they'd want to start taking points from, as Ledbetter wards off Bierman, but either in a foul fashion or conceding a throw-in in the process. Now will be a free kick for Orange County. And you hear some of the frustration from the St. Louis supporters in behind Tomas Gomez's goal. Thomas Yul Nielsen, one of two Danes in the team. Lofted towards Seaton, but cut out by Culbertson. Segbers to take it down. Fantastic challenge in, though, from Tony Walls, and now St. Louis look to break. Fall. Da Silva. Decent spell of possession here for St. Louis. Lofted towards Kalister, who takes it off the chest, but can't get around the substitute Amico. He does slot into that left-hand side. Strong challenge in from Ledbetter. And the end of throw-in for Orange County.
Ledbetter coming off of getting clocked by his goalkeeper and making a nice, strong challenge. You like to see that. And that was better from St. Louis. Orange County, though, is putting the pressure on a little bit more prominently in the midfield than we saw in the opening half hour of this match. But a good job by St. Louis again to at least show that they can get out on the counter, or at least attempt to, but need to be a little bit more consistent with that. Need to attack the wings, because right now it is all Orange County, especially with the goal now.
That was dangerous there from Gomez, taking an extra beat to send that one long. It could have come off Segbers dangerously. Here's Dikwa. Now going to poke it around Hume, and he can certainly beat him for pace, but Hume beats him for guile. Not allowing Dikwa to get around him.
Good job by Hume using that 6'5" frame to keep Dikwa from getting around him. If you have a 6'5" frame, might as well use it. That's what Hume did.
Now very solid build up there from Orange County as Segbers tried to find the right ball for Voltson. Sends him wide. Against Kavita, slid into the path of Bierman. He'll play the 1-2 with Quinn. Quinn now towards the byline to try and swing the cross and does get it towards Seton. And it actually looked like a clash of heads in the area between Seton and Reynolds. We're playing on through Segbers. Came off of Culbertson. And you wonder why the referee didn't stop play for two heads coming together.
You've got one man on the turf and the other crouched, grabbing his knees inside the 6-yard area. And we just played on.
And I think that's the gripe of Reynolds right now, who it's a little woozy, you'd have to say.
And the captain, take a look here. Goes up and sure, oh, that is rough with Seton, who's a big body down there. Reynolds getting looked at, and I thought I may have seen some blood on Reynolds' hand as he was taken off by the trainer. It certainly looks, yep. There is a lot of blood as well. So he's going to have to get bandaged up. It's right above his ear.
Down a dangerous place, and the game will carry on though. So without one of their center backs for a corner, temporarily down to 10, but Gomez with catching practice.
And there's a chance we don't see Reynolds, who's wearing the captain's armband, again tonight.
Yeah, I mean
it's a head injury.
Sort of multifaceted, because you sort of think obviously he's an exterior cut, but you also would have to imagine that concussion could be a consideration as well. As Dikwa tries to flick on for Herzog, but cut out. Well won there by Fall. And Da Silva taken off him by Pineda, and you see Da Silva lamenting the lack of options.
And I don't blame him. There's nobody over there to help him short range to try and maintain the shape.
See Culbertson perhaps a little bit conservative to overlap. He has at times played in midfield, so he certainly is comfortable in forward areas, but not electing to charge on. Walls. Fanuel Kavita, the native of DR Congo. Lofted over the top in the path of Herzog. Joel Nielsen across to deal with it, and he does.
That was well done by him. I thought he was going to lose control after that first touch off his chest and able to recover and push it out instead for a throw. If you notice, moments ago, Herzog was playing 25 yards outside the goal. St. Louis FC does not want him there. They want him doing what he did there, making a run towards the net. He should not be playing in that area.
Throw-in comes for Herzog as cycle the ball all the way back now to the goalkeeper, Gomez. Just a bit of creative inspiration right now at the moment for St. Louis, but they will have a throw on that far side. St. Louis, as I mentioned, have not scored for a fairly long time. It's been since their 2-2 draw away against Sacramento Republic on June the 23rd that they've scored a goal in league play. Drawing 0-0 with RGV and losing 1-0 away to Las Vegas Lights in their last two matches is through with Segbers towards the area. Walls coming across him. Segbers now for Enna Voltson. He'll play in Aiden Quinn. He strikes well, but over the bar.
So much skill for Orange County, and it didn't result in a goal there, but you see Segbers, and he's so nifty on the ball. He clears space. Enna Voltson lays it off perfectly to Quinn. If you miss once, which Wall did, then you're opening up all sorts of options for Orange County, and that's exactly what we saw there. You can't whiff because they'll make you pay.
Reynolds still receiving treatment. About 2 or 3 minutes after that collision, now going to play with the headband. Look to give it a go. As it's flicked on well there by Calistri in the path of Dikwa, who's now away the Cameroonian. Lovely flick there for Calistri. Calistri trying to peel it back towards Herzog, but had to get through multiple white shirts. Hume cutting out. Fantastic diving header there from Bierman to send Enna Voltson on his way. Thomas Enna Voltson. Quinn. This is lovely interplay, but the touch from Quinn a bit too heavy. Now Gomez will send long. You see St. Louis have been compensating with their shape, with Reynolds still receiving treatment. Da Silva. Ledbetter. Certainly seen the physicality in this match. So to a few players dealing with injury. So are reaching the point of the season, kind of the dog days. Playing in July, it's hot. It's not scorching this evening in St. Louis. It's actually a lovely night for soccer, but legs start to be a little tired. Maybe you're dealing with small injuries that become bigger under the duress of contact, and we've already seen Owusu-Ansah come off. Ledbetter and Reynolds at the back for St. Louis, who can certainly ill afford to deal with yet more injuries. They've really only carried 5 players on the bench for most of the year.
Yeah. Numbers have been a concern all season long for St. Louis FC. And anytime you're in mid-July, then fitness becomes a concern no matter where you're playing.
No doubt. As Reynolds just trot back to the area of the 4th official to get ready to come back on. There you see full headband in tow. Good work there by the medical team to get him in that cut straight away as he does trot back on. But Orange County are threatening on the edge of the area. The Quins touch a bit loose. Now Dikwa trying to counter. You see his patience in trying to turn, but he had options to spring the counter.
Yeah, Dikwa just trying to do too much. You've got to react. You can't just react and then consider. You've got to put it to the left-hand side, make sure you can get down the pitch. Herzog's there, start something, build something. He gets bailed out by having the foul committed on him. But again, Orange County, the way they've been playing, it would have been one touch and you're gone.
As we will have 2 minutes to be added on. I believe our pitch side microphones are picking up the watch of the 4th official. Just keeping track of 45 minutes, so
that's
we'll have
strong.
2 more to be added on. Dikwa. Wall fall. We have a wall and a walls. Not quite an impenetrable wall in central midfield tonight, given they have conceded, although a bit awkwardly, off a long throw. So it is 1-0 at the moment. Bierman. Now Seaton can threaten, but he was offside. It is interesting how that wasn't the best looking ball, but you can always threaten when the ball bounces off the turf. It's always going to be awkward for the center backs to deal with.
Turf is always going to present an interesting challenge for your defense, and obviously it's easier for teams whose home field uses turf, but yes, you always have to keep track of that because you never know.
Culbertson for Da Silva, and St. Louis fashion one more opportunity before halftime. Calistri to the path of Herzog, left for Da Silva on his favored left, around Quinn. Back for Walls. We'll just try and loft into the area. That was never the right ball. That'll probably be the last meaningful moment of this first half.
Orange County kept St. Louis FC going horizontal instead of vertical. Didn't allow anything to be played through. St. Louis has to play it back, and they settle for a poor ball floated into the area. That is good defense from Orange County. Very disciplined.
Da Silva for Dikwa. Let's come out of play. It'll be a throw-in for Orange County. That should just about do it. Not sure what Dikwa was appealing for, but Orange County will get this throw in, and that is the final whistle from referee Malik Badawi heading into halftime. Orange County getting the goal off a long throw that is eventually turned in by Mats Bierman past Tomas Gomez, unmarked 3 yards from goal. And that is how it currently sits. St. Louis FC 0, Orange County SC 1. Coming up in the Hollywood Casino halftime show, we're bringing you first half highlights and analysis and much more from around USL. Once again, your halftime score is St. Louis FC 0, Orange County SC 1.
but you can give them to the birds and bees. I need more.
There's really only one place where the carpets are always red and the stars are everywhere you look. There's no place like Hollywood. Hollywood Casino St. Louis.
When you need quality electrical work for your home or business, look to the electricalconnection.org. Created as a partnership between IBEW Local 1 electricians and the St. Louis chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association, the Electrical Connection has been setting the standard for electrical excellence in St. Louis for over 100 years. You can depend on our highly skilled and trained workforce. Your #1 source for quality electrical and communication contractors, electricalconnection.org.
A lottery ticket is so much more than a piece of paper. It's wonder, opportunity, dreams. And not just for players. 100% of the profits from every Missouri lottery ticket you play goes back to schools, teachers, and students. Play it forward with the Missouri Lottery.
There's Rudolph with a header and a goal! Right off the bench.
Oh, Calistri with the spin and finds a way to slot it past Fabian Serta. What a return game for Joey Calistri.
He lines this up. He's going to drill it hard. Curling ball is in. It's tied to 2-2. What a free kick.
After 45 minutes of play, St. Louis FC Orange County SC at the half in the Hollywood Casino halftime. Technology has invaded every facet of our lives, and tracking a player's performance is easier than ever. St. Louis FC head athletic trainer Brian Bounds shows us how the team collects and analyzes player performance data. Take a look.
This is our player tracking software, GPS. Fans probably don't see them during the games because they're wearing vests underneath of their uniforms, but within those vests there's a little pocket that these fit into. It goes right in this pouch here. And so we just turn it on. There's sensors within here that will allow us to collect various forms of data, various metrics that we use. Distance that they cover in a game or practice, how fast they're running, how many accelerations and decelerations they're performing during the game or during a practice. And then based on that data, we can use that to manipulate some training sessions, or we can look at a guy specifically and say, you know, we might need to back off on this guy a little bit. We can track how much body load we're applying to each individual player, and allows us to use this data to track players over the course of the season. When I'm bringing a guy back from like a long-term injury, I can use this data here to help me make a decision as to when the guy is ready to go. Like what we have pulled up right now is data from our last game in Vegas. Lewis Hilton, for instance, you know, he covered 12,433 yards in that last game. The players are very involved in it. A lot of them want to look at their data. You know, a lot of them like to look and see what their highest speed was, so how fast they sprinted in a particular match or practice session. We can go back and look at, you know, the last couple weeks and see if there's anything that really sticks out to us that may have possibly contributed to the injury, or just looking at guys on a regular basis and looking at, in particular, their load over the course of a week, 2 weeks, a month, and just seeing if there's anything we need to change at all. We try to keep like their, you know, like the distance covered, for instance. We try to, you know, each session, you know, like earlier in the week is, you know, a little bit harder session, so the distance covered is going to be a little bit greater. And so we want to just make sure that over the course of the week we're looking at these metrics and they're kind of staying in line with where we want them to be over the course of a training week.
There you go, Joe. Boom.
SportsCenter's top plays. Number 10, Fred. That's Matias Silva. Rocket outside the box for a goal. That's the real Monarchs. Swope Park Rangers.
And number 9 for the United Soccer League. Tampa Bay Rowdies v. Charlotte Independence. 90th minute. Dominic Oduro. Absolute firecracker from outside the box.
Phoenix Rising FC, OKC Energy FC. Solomon Asante. That is a goal. That's a finish.
This is soccer. Fresno and Seattle. That's Jamal Johnson.
San Antonio, Reno 1868. 27th minute, Reno's Jerry Avik. Jerry Van Avik.
Steve have action on the Las Vegas Lights and the Swope Park Rangers. It's legal. Juan Kazane, free kick, bangs it. A little soccer for St. Louis FC, Phoenix Rising FC. They're going at it. Chris Cortez, the blast, bang.
Sacramento Republic and Fresno FC. This is deep. Frank Tayu over the goalkeeper.
United Soccer League, Indy 11, Nashville SC. And Absolute Caraca. United Soccer League, FC Cincinnati, Richmond Kickers. I like that name.
Yeah.
Fresno FC, Swope Park Rangers, 32nd minute. Great passing, and then Jamal Johnson, back of the onion bag.
Nashville and Penn FC. Nashville working the give and the go. Lebo Maloto. Bebeto. Maloto.
We're up to 2. More United Soccer League. Jason Johnson.
Be arrested. That's an unbelievable goal.
JJ, the scissor kick.
Tony Sod. Holy shnikey, what a firecracker. Look at that thing, that little screwball action. And you take it. Of course, the keeper always.
For the Fightin' Phils.
Number 1, United Soccer League. That's Cincinnati's goalie, Spencer Ritchie, to Kenny Walker, who puts it in from almost 50 yards. That is silly and saucy.
And we've seen some truly staggering goals in USL this season, featured on SportsCenter's Top 10. And now, Ken, let's transition to our ESPN schedule here in USL. Start first with 2 linear TV games, San Antonio, Colorado Springs, and then Tampa Bay and Charleston Battery. But St. Louis will be featured in our ESPN 3 game, August the 15th, taking on Sacramento.
And that's a match that could have a lot on the line for St. Louis. Sacramento right now in the playoff picture in the Western Conference. St. Louis looking to get there, and by August 15th, we could be getting urgency time for St. Louis.
Yeah, and Anthony Poulos has said he's not concerned with the table at about the halfway point in the season, but by the time we get to August 15th, it certainly will be a cause for concern. Phoenix taking on San Antonio. Orange County, the opponent tonight for St. Louis. Sacramento, Phoenix kind of all in that top 5 right now, and Phoenix come into the weekend second after winning on Friday night. As now you take a look at the Western Conference standings, there is St. Louis below the playoff line, but they have 3 games in hand and going to need to do some business in order to make up those points.
Right, exactly. There is still time for St. Louis. It is not time to panic yet, but they need to start putting forth 3-point results. The Western Conference has gotten all bunched up, whereas in the East, you see that Cincinnati's starting to pull away at the top of the table. This is going to be a battle for the top seed in the Western Conference playoffs.
Yeah, and Orange County in the thick of it. Best goal difference in the Western Conference, best defensive record, and they might probably deserve a few better results on that evidence alone, but still trying to climb up that table with St. Louis. Will obviously have their eyes on Colorado Springs and Fresno above them. 6 points off with 3 games in hand. Those can kind of give you a sense of security, but you still have to make up. You still have to win those games that you have in hand.
St. Louis has a spell of home matches. They have had trouble scoring at home, but they're one of the best teams defensively on their home turf as well. Something needs to give, though, on offense. If they can figure that out, St. Louis could very well get above that red line.
That your look at the Western Conference standings here in the United Soccer League. As we carry on here at the Hollywood Casino halftime show. Coming up next, we'll have first half highlights and stats. You're watching the USL.
When you need quality electrical work for your home or business, look to the electricalconnection.org. Created as a partnership between IBEW Local 1 electricians and the St. Louis chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association, the Electrical Connection has been setting the standard for electrical excellence in St. Louis for over 100 years. You can depend on our highly skilled and trained workforce, your #1 source for quality electrical and communication contractors, electricalconnection.org.
There's really only one place where the carpets are always red and the stars are everywhere you look. There's no place like Hollywood. Hollywood Casino St. Louis.
This is my Toyota RAV4. It's more tech-savvy than I am. It comes standard with Toyota Safety Sense. Similar features would cost over $6,000 more in a Nissan Rogue. I don't know tech, but I know a good deal. And for that, I give my RAV4 5 stars.
Tested, trusted Toyota. Get $2,000 customer cash on a 2018 RAV4 or get 0% APR for 48 months plus $1,000 bonus cash. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
There's Rudolph with a header and a goal! Right off the bench.
Oh, Calistri with the spin and finds a way to slot it past Fabian Serta. What a return game for Joey Calistri.
He lined this up. He's going to drill it hard. Early ball is in. It's tied to 2-2. What a free kick.
St. Louis FC trailing by a 1-0 at the half, taking on Orange County SC tonight at the Hollywood Casino. Halftime, Chris Winningham alongside Ken Levica on commentary of this one for you. And Ken, St. Louis got off to a decent start in that first half, but eventually concede on a long throw as you take you through our Hollywood Casino first half highlights. And there was actually a couple of comings together that led to some injuries. There you see a 1-2 attempted between Seton and Quinn on the edge of the area, but Owusu Ansah would have to come off due to injury, and there was a fair amount of physical play as there you see the chance leading to nothing in the end. Tomas Gomez getting something on it. Here would be the 1-2 with Fault and Dikwa.
Yeah, one of the few opportunities for St. Louis FC in the first half. Dikwa turns, fires with his left foot, had Lopez beaten, but puts it off the bar. And after that, it was all Orange County the rest of the half. Here's a corner. This was another good opportunity. A header played off the line by Calistri. Gomez appeared to be surprised at the pace that came off of Bierman's head. Disaster averted there for St. Louis FC. Look again. I don't know how Bierman got that pace. But then here's the Owusu Ansah long throw in. And then there's Bierman with the header off the back of his head. A nifty attempt. Probably shouldn't have found the side netting. Gomez beaten to that far post, 1-0 Orange County, and shortly thereafter, Owusu Ansah would come off.
Do you think Owusu Ansah gets credited for an assist for that?
I believe he should.
It would be his first of the campaign, but that was his last meaningful contribution before going off due to injury. Joe Miko has come on for him as well. The other injury of note, Sean Reynolds was kept off the field for about 3 or 4 minutes after a collision in the area on an aerial duel, and he had to get a bandage on his head, which he carries on with. I thought maybe he would be forced to come off, but Reynolds is carrying on. You see there with the bandage. It was actually a St. Louis colored green and blue, but just sort of a traditional white headband he will carry on with. It was a collision with him and Seton on a cross in from Quinn as second half exchanges begin. A lovely first time ball there from Seton. This is quality interplay there. But Orange County have, in some respects, almost downshifted after getting their lead. They're playing very calm and composed right now.
And why not? This seems to be a winning formula. St. Louis is not really threatening you offensively. St. Louis also, if you look at them defensively, still giving 5, 6, 7 yards of space, easy passing lanes for one of the best passing teams in this league. So why not just make it flow, make it fluid, and work the buildup? There's no need to try and do anything urgent. Meanwhile, speaking of urgent, that's what St. Louis needs to try and do right now.
And it's attempted there by Dikwa, trying to find Corey Hertzog, but coming across to deal with it was Yul Nielsen.
You mentioned all the injuries, Chris. Let's not forget, too, Austin Ledbetter, key component in that central back for St. Louis. He took Thomas Gomez, his goalkeeper, straight on with a collision near the end of the first half and laid in a prone position for several minutes. So he's been banged up as well.
Here's Bierman. Gonna loft it over the top for Segbers to chase. He will get onto it in the end. Mark Segbers, the New England Revolution loanee, and then eventually gets the better of Culbertson. For Quinn in the area, couldn't hit a first-time cross. He's a left-footed player. Here's Anna Volta now with Seaton. Seaton on the turn, going to try and strike, but comes off Kavita in the end. Quinn's going to let it roll. Culbertson's going to try and keep it in play. In the end, it is a throw-in for Orange County.
This is a club, though, that is playing the best soccer it has all year, Orange County, and you saw why there. Everything is so calm, everything is precision, and yes, the shot got blocked, but they wait, and they wait, they make the proper pass. That's what we were discussing with St. Louis earlier with Dikwa. He waited, they react and do the right thing.
Another long throw, and again, Hume getting something on it, but not too much danger in it. Those long throws have really been difficult for St. Louis to deal with as Culbertson concedes the corner.
And Hume has a size advantage in there, but it's not like Hume is a prolific goal scorer, and that's the second time tonight from a seemingly impossible scenario. He has at least made something dangerous with his head, and of course we know that Bierman scored the goal off a long throw, and St. Louis needs to realize this is a part of Orange County's arsenal. Mark it.
As Amico on that left-hand side. We'll play it for Pineda, who likes to take a touch around. Hertzog is in the cross-in, was towards Quinn, but dealt with by Reynolds. And now Dikwa has the pace to try and start the counterattack for St. Louis. Here's the young Cameroonian, just 20 years of age. Couldn't find the right ball for Pierre Da Silva. He does eventually go down under the weight of the challenge. It'll be a free kick for St. Louis.
Dikwa sometimes plays a little bit out of control, but there he stayed with it and earned the foul. Dikwa, he's not someone that you'd consider elite, but you can see why St. Louis needs him in the attack and why they've had trouble scoring since he went down with injury.
And joined the Montverde Academy after moving from Cameroon. Last season was with Orlando City B, which was where Anthony Poulos was managing. 3 goals in 22 appearances, and was part of the USL's top 20 under 20. We'll continue to carry a threat as Da Silva will send the cross, and it's a decent one, but well read there by Luis Lopez.
I like the idea, though. Make Lopez come out, make a play on it. And that right there, what we saw from Da Silva punching it into the 6-yard box, is the closest and the most work that Lopez has had to do since about the 26-minute mark of the first half.
Lopez, a full senior international with Honduras. Actually started for Honduras against the United States in World Cup qualifying. You can say is at least one of the results that kept the U.S. out of the World Cup, a 1-1 draw in Honduras. Sore subject will eventually get over, but not anytime soon. Alston. And Yul Nielsen to just send as far forward as possible. Segbers winning in the air, but Reynolds will play. Mentioned earlier, St. Louis have yet to come back and win after conceding first. Orange County have yet to lose after scoring first.
Well, St. Louis is the only club this season, the only opponent of Orange County that have managed to come back and earn a point in the table against Orange County. So you at least have that working for you. Not to mention, as we progress on here through the second half, St. Louis FC does have the 4 goals, 4 game-tying goals 80 minutes or later. They do have a propensity of at least being effectively finding a way to get themselves a point in the table. So, again, they don't just lay down and die. However, their goal scoring at home has been basically nil. That needs to change. They need to start finding some confidence and a will here.
As Culbertson gives away, Segbers charging on. Plays in Seton, tries to flick first time. It is eventually falling on the path of Bierman. Now Alston, and there is a little bit of a coming together away from the play. It was Segbers who, I believe, kicked out towards Culbertson. Looks like the referee Badawi is going to take some extra information from his assistants because he might not have been looking in that direction. But Culbertson remains down, and now Badawi's got a decision to make about the discipline he's going to hand here to Segbers.
So the great debate is on, and both sides are going to plead their case. Meanwhile, Culbertson in a lot of pain. It looks like just below his knee, and we're going to see a booking.
Yeah, you wonder if it probably will be yellow in the end for Segbers. I almost am afraid to look at the replay because Culbertson goes down under the duress of the challenge.
And there's the card.
And it is indeed yellow for Mark Segbers because Culbertson, I've seen him a few times, he's not one to go down easy. And I think Culbertson had caught a little bit of Segbers. So we'll keep on watching the play here. On the top left corner of your screen, there's a little kick out there, not a ton in it. Just as I say, Culbertson doesn't really go down easy. He kind of goes down a bit easy there.
A little bit. It is a deserved yellow. It was retaliation. The referee did the right thing, went to his side referees, got the information properly. Culbertson's going to walk it off. But a deserved yellow, and we play on.
You'd have to also say it was poor from the referee to not see the initial foul on Segbers from Culbertson, as you'd no doubt have to say in that bit of play. And it's a foul against Segbers. As the ball is sent long by Gomez, flicked on header by Calistri, but in the end Lopez coming out and claiming.
You see St. Louis and their lack of capability to build out of the back. We discussed in the first half how good Orange County is stringing passes together. Not only owning possession, but making something out of their possession. And we're seeing it again here where they work it out of the midfield. They're able to comfortably get it into the attacking third. St. Louis FC generally relies on the counter or the long ball forward. And now we see another debate with the referee and pushing and shoving. And a very, very upset Joey Calistri.
Yeah, upset because he thought the ball ran out of play. I don't believe it did. Remember, it's got to be hold the ball over, hold the line. At the very least, close. Yeah,
I think Calistri's in the wrong here.
Yeah, and we heard Tony Wall saying that it was a fair distance over the line. I didn't quite see that on the replay. Here's Bierman. Lovely ball into the path of Quinn. Not too many options available. They'll leave it with Enna Voltson. Instead, is going to clip it into the path of Bierman, who leaves for Seton, who couldn't work out his touch. Another real quality pattern of play there from Orange County. And now we're going to see another card here. I believe it's Alston who's going to go into the book for Orange County. We saw there a real clumsy challenge there from the right back native of Washington, D.C.
And all that coming after Bierman, who was onside, played it back to Seton in the box. And yes, that is a yellow. That was studs up from behind. So Alston picks up the yellow. I think Bierman, he didn't realize how unmarked he actually was.
If he takes a touch towards goal, he can have an easy strike.
Easily could have touched it down, had time to turn and put a shot on Gomez's goal. Instead, Seton had it go legs as he tried to cue it up with his right foot.
Sliding intervention in from Amico. Still though for St. Louis and Calistri. He does eventually get around him. His cross is cut out again by Amico. Quality work by the substitute.
Amico came on for Owusu Ansah late in the first half. Look at this work. Calistri was going for goal, yes, from a difficult angle, but was able to wind up on it. That is outstanding defense, and then he also forces a throw-in.
I'd say not to be lost, though, in that Dikwa with some fantastic hold-up play to read that long ball.
And then a great ball from Herzog to spring Calistri.
Never really know if he was trying to shoot or cross from that kind of position based off the deflection, but decent spell there. Doesn't always have to be pretty. You mentioned the build-up play. It was just kind of a speculative long ball. Eventually found its way towards Dikwa, who tries to put Hume under a bit of pressure. Hume at least getting enough power on it. And Lopez can deal with it. Lopez, 24 years of age, is actually a champion at club level and with the Real España in Honduras. 124 appearances for that club before making his way stateside. It's actually interesting to see how the U.S. leagues have kind of also become a breeding ground for players in the whole of CONCACAF, and you see it in the case of Lopez and multiple others, as Segbers will take it first time, but never really threatening Gomez's goal.
No, Segbers from a really tough angle. And that's a great point you make about how America has become the minor leagues. The system for Central America. Central America has benefited more than anybody from the American leagues, the USL, the MLS, whether you're talking about Honduras, whether you're talking about Costa Rica. The MLS and the USL are populated with Central American players who end up starring for their national team, and you get quality. You're getting a lot of quality in guys who are getting a lot of competition they wouldn't get in their native country.
See environments that are a bit more professionalized, and so you have to consider the better pay that comes from playing in this league, as that was a substitution presented to you by G&W Meats. Coming on is Kyle Gregg for Corey Hertzog. Interesting, more than a few times this season, a 6th substitute appearance for St. Louis's leading goal scorer. He comes on just before the hour mark to try and change things, but you figure 6 goals on the campaign, he'd start every match, but not always the case as Seton tries to head towards the byline. A quality challenge in from Reynolds, and he was able to at least have it take a little bit of a touch off of Seton, so it will be a goal kick.
And this is a good time to make this substitution for Anthony Pulis. So you have Gregg, who's going to substitute in. You didn't expect Hertzog to play a full 90 with his first start coming off of injury, and now you do it at the hour mark. You're going to give Gregg plenty of time to get himself in the flow of the match. You desperately need a goal, and you need it sooner rather than later. You're at a point, if you're St. Louis, where you're playing for 3 points, so you have a lot of work to do.
It is a like-for-like change. The substitution presented by G&W Meats. Ledbetter. A nice touch there by Calistri. Where's that touchline? That's quite the challenge in from Amico.
I think it was clean, though.
No question, but still kind of see or hear the fans over there on that near side kind of observing the power in that. We've seen plenty of comings together tonight as Amico again dealing with it.
Calistri's having all sorts of troubles right now with Amico.
Dequa in the area, taking it down off the chest, trying to work around Hume. It just came off him in the end. See the size there of Hume. Sometimes it can lead to players at times looking lanky and unathletic against the pace of Dequa, but it's really been the smarts of Hume that have kind of won out there.
Yeah, so Amico, meanwhile, is using his speed to really frustrate Calistri, and we saw it consecutively, mere moments apart, with a strong tackle and him blasting a ball out of play. And now Hume, who at times comes off as lumbering, but he is surprisingly athletic. And Dequa, I think a couple of times tonight, has thought that he'd be able to just easily get around Hume. And at 6'5", Hume's able to stick out a foot, and he forced that off Dequa for a goal kick.
As the ball is into the path of Enevoldsen, and it's actually almost an own goal. It came off a Ledbetter, and it hits the post on the way through. Real danger out of nothing. And now a counterattacking opportunity on for St. Louis, and again, Hume there to deal with it.
Ledbetter would have scored the most beautiful own goal in the history of the game if that went in. That was a curler to the near post.
I'm not sure if it was a deflection that ended up going towards goal or an attempted clearance. Here's Enevoldsen. Yeah, just it's an attempted clearance, and it hits the frame of the goal.
I have never seen that before. I mean, that was an incredible attempt at the wrong goal from Ledbetter. That would have been a highlight reel if he played for Orange County.
We showed you at halftime all the top 10 goals. That's somehow both a top 10 and not top 10.
I mean, I've never seen that.
Calistri makes the defender towards the byline, and again, Hume is across to deal with it.
Hume is playing incredibly right now.
Yeah, you'd have to say it's a man-of-the-match kind of performance. As Walls tried strike first time, and Lopez had to be alert to it.
I like that from Walls. Give it a shot. You're 35 yards out, and that ball was dipping. Lopez had to react at the last moment to make a quality save, and you say to yourself, oh, from that far out, that should be easy. But no, that was dipping, and especially with the turf, Lopez did well to grab it before the short hop would have crossed him up. You see Walls here approach it, gets great pace on that, and boy, Lopez able to have it stick to his forearm, bring it into his thigh.
Da Silva. It's launched by Pineda. Now Kavita and Seton struggling for it. Bierman might still win it, but well touched there by Reynolds.
Now you got to go if you're St. Louis.
Now the opportunity's still on here for you, Pierre Da Silva. A couple of MLS loanees coming together in Segbers and Da Silva, but given away. And Greg a bit too ambitious in trying to win that ball back.
This has gotten fun, though. St. Louis is now involved in the match again, and you can appreciate that. That Walls opportunity was really strong.
Alcohol sales will end at the 70th minute.
And you mentioned sort of the trajectory of the ball, but also it kind of comes from nothing. It's a giveaway, and you might not expect Walls to shoot from that kind of range, but he does and forces Lopez into a smart save.
Precisely. You have a better chance of catching the goalkeeper off guard with something like that. If it's at your foot and you have a path, might as well give it a rip, and that's exactly what Walls did. And good response from the near classic own goal from Ledbetter.
As Calistri tries to keep it in play.
Yeah, you saw that. That was awkward.
Yeah.
His foot came up on top of the ball, and it looked like his cleat stuck in the turf, and he immediately clutched at his hamstring, and he's trying to play through it right now. But boy, that was extremely awkward.
It's one of those where you almost might be expecting an injury where there is none, but it was so awkward as Quinn will spray it out for Enna Voltson. First time for Seton. I'll leave it for the Dane again. Haven't really seen him try and go for goal tonight. Trying to be the creator. Lovely touch there from Quinn. Can play in Seton. Michael Seton. A fantastic challenge in though from Ledbetter, but before that, the assistant's flag had gone up.
But so pretty, the buildup, you can see it. One touch, one touch, one touch, one touch. Everybody knows where they should be. The spacing is outstanding. The cutting is very, very good. The playthrough is successful. Yes, at the end it didn't work out, but Orange County has been able to pick apart holes in that St. Louis defense, and now a substitution for Orange County.
As it is a G&W Meat substitution coming on is Ramos Godoy. He will come in for Ami Pineda. So it's winger slash forward in for a central midfielder, so there will be a little bit of a tactical adjustment. Does look like Bierman will play in central midfield. Walls came off the referee in the end. And now the counterattack gets started. Seton is away. Into the area, Reynolds with multiple challenges in, and then eventually plays it off Seton in the end. That's good work to atone for the error by the referee, frankly.
Early in the second half, Reynolds had the first challenge that he experienced, that he faced since receiving the head injury in the first half. He passed that test, and his confidence has only built since then. That was the best individual defensive performance of the night from St. Louis FC. Very well done from Reynolds, and you get the desired result. He just stayed with it.
You always get concerned with head collisions that will be after effects, or there's concern about whether or not they should carry on, but Reynolds certainly at that moment just demonstrating the physical and mental strength to carry on, wearing that bandage after coming together with Michael Seton, as he will have a free kick to be swung in by Pierre Da Silva. Good pace on it, but a bit too much. And easy work for Lopez, who'll start the counterattack with his arms. Ramos Godoy in acres of space on that far side. Waiting for his options. Quinn, who knew Kyle Gregg was going to put him under pressure, but does eventually find its way towards Kevin Austin.
St. Louis in a bit of a quandary right now. They want to start throwing numbers forward, but you're going up against the most prolific offense in the Western Conference, who can easily hit you on the counter, but also if your numbers are thin, in marking, they can easily blow by you or find someone who is making a run towards goal. So this is very difficult for St. Louis. If I'm Coach Pulis, I have to weigh my options, but I would say right now you want to maybe start selling out, pushing numbers forward.
Recall that St. Louis have struggled for goals at home, scoring just 6. They've conceded 6 at home. This is their 9th match. At times it's been a failure to convert chances. There just haven't been that many good ones tonight. As the referee sounds, there is Anthony Poulos, the son of the current Middlesbrough manager, Tony Poulos. Well known with Stoke, Crystal Palace, and West Brom, particularly for that defensive style. As you see a little bit of a coming together there in the center of the park, the referee's gonna have to sort things out. Actually seems like the captain, Quinn, who had to be separated. Now he's gonna talk with the referee and Albert Dikwa, between whom the problem seemed to be.
Well, Dikwa's been a thorn in the Orange County side all night. Orange County, though, for the most part, has played Dikwa fairly well, but Dikwa's been the one who's sort of been the spark, any attack that they have. Now you see Quinn upset after coming together with Wall Fall. But Dikwa, he'll talk a little bit.
Service needs to be a bit better from St. Louis. And it's too close to the keeper, and Lopez will claim.
Thought Da Silva might have just given it a go towards goal there. His set pieces just float too much. Lopez has too much time to read it. That's now the second time in 3 minutes that Da Silva's just sent one right to Lopez. Perhaps a little bit of a change of scenery. Maybe someone new to take that, or just shoot it on goal. What do you have to lose right now?
Could also play it short, but Da Silva's service not working again on a short-term loan. Normally taking those free kicks is Lewis Hilton. He's not in the 16 tonight due to injury. Greg flicking on towards Dikwa. This is more like it from the Cameroonian, who tries to strike straight into Walker Hume. Now here is Da Silva towards the byline, beats him for pace. The right foot across it towards Dikwa, whose header is straight at the goalkeeper.
Man,
it was a free header from 8 yards out.
It really was, and great job by Da Silva on his not favored right foot. That was pinpoint accuracy, and unfortunately for St. Louis, Dikwa put it right into Lopez's chest, did not direct it properly, but man, what a service into the box from Da Silva. Dikwa is right now, I'm sure, beside himself. That was put on a platter.
Striding on is Quinn, gonna try and slide in for Seaton. Nearly fell for Anna Volson, but cut out well there by Ledbetter. As Culbertson flies forward to win the ball. Now Dikwa trying to win it off of Hume. As Quinn just with the no-nonsense clearance. Gomez will take it off the bounce.
But if you're St. Louis, you found something. How many times tonight have they actually run down a flank and delivered a cross? It's less than 5.
Yeah.
And
it's not for the want of trying. They've certainly tried, but you'd have to say the fullbacks have been up to the challenge tonight.
Hume has been fantastic. Amico in relief has been phenomenal. But if you can continue to find some room down the flank, that appears to be where you're going to be able to hit Orange County if you're able to find the back of the net tonight. The middle's just not there.
Lovely ball from Da Silva to the feet of Calistri. They'll try and send some service in, taken off the chest by Greg, who strikes and scores! An equalizing goal from St. Louis's top goal scorer of the campaign, his 7th of the season, and Kyle Gregg makes it 1-1.
And it came from the wing. It's delivered into the middle. The defense is spread thin, and Gregg, the second half substitution, able to make it happen, but it all started on the wing. They found it, they exposed it, and we are level, and there is a lot of soccer to play.
St. Louis finding the response as they did in Orange County. You see the power in that. Lopez getting something on it. I thought maybe it was going to be Da Silva that struck, but in the end it was Greg who puts enough power behind it to send it past Lopez.
And what a turn as well. He did not hesitate. Played it down, turned right foot, back of the net, and it caught Lopez off guard. He was not expecting the turn and the pace on the shot. That is a phenomenal goal.
St. Louis FC goal his 7th of the
And now
season,
St. Louis
scored
will
by number
try and kick
22,
on and perhaps find the go-ahead goal. He does come off the bench and scores, making his case to be a week-in, week-out starter, but he's certainly been the team's top scorer for a while, and he somehow has not earned that role, as will be a free kick there off the challenge by Walls.
Well, we said we liked the timing at the hour mark to bring Greg in and take Herzog off, and Greg has wasted no time making an impact. And now if you're St. Louis, you can go for the win now. You can go for the 3 points, and Orange County has to play now.
They haven't been the most clinical going forward. Ramos Godoy. Quinn. Gonna loft it towards Segbers. Culbertson read it well. As Fall goes down, there's appeals for handball not given, not a foul either. And now Greg certainly does have to improve the hold-up play if he's going to cement his place in the team. Calistri, 1v1 is clipped in, comes to no one in particular. And Ramos Godoy told very smartly to just let it run out for a goal kick.
I thought Calistri could have brought that towards the corner and tried to deliver across, and I hate to keep harping on the point, but we've seen that is where the opportunity is. Hit the wings, and yes, Amico has been outstanding. Hume has been extremely strong with that 6'5" frame, but if you can put yourself in a position to deliver the cross, if you have the confidence to do so, you have another chance at Lopez's goal. And the whole dynamic of this match has changed now. This is going to be a fun next 18 minutes, you would have to think.
As now Segbers has plenty of space after Culbertson comes forward. Has options, elects to play in Seaton. Let's hold up the play in the area. Looking for an option. Comes all the way back to Alston, who had stayed back. Wonder if maybe Orange County go to the bench for some inspiration. They have the ex-Seattle Sounders man Darwin Jones and Richard Chaplow available. How do they approach these final few minutes? They want to head towards the top of the table.
And I believe we are going to see James, the Seattle Sounders man, come in for Orange County.
And there is confirmation of the change. Darwin Jones coming on. And it will be, I believe Jones is actually telling the fourth official who the name on the board was supposed to be. It is a final change for Braden Cloutier, and it is Segbers who will come off. And you hear Jones telling the fourth official that he had the wrong number up on his board. The captain's probably not going to be the player that comes off. Quinn among the most regular members of this Orange County side.
Jones, who comes from, or came from Seattle Sounders, spent time with Seattle Sounders too.
Dequa trying to poke it in towards Greg. Dequa to strike. Got some power behind it, but straight at Lopez.
This looks a lot more ragged than we've seen Orange County in the back all night long, Chris. This has not been the finest 10 minutes of action for Orange County. And I like that Dequa, hey, it comes to him, and it's what we've been discussing. Take your shots. It was from a poor angle, but make Lopez work. That was a good attempt from Dequa.
That goal by Greg was the first goal given up by Lopez in over 200 minutes playing in USL. Picked up 2 clean sheets in his first 2 starts.
Curious to see what Derwin Jones can bring to this club. He was brought on earlier this week, and so he's getting his first action right out of the box in a very, very critical moment in this match. So see if he can provide what they thought he could bring to the table. He was good with Seattle Sounders too. Now he's with one of the finest clubs in the USL, but I'm curious to see on 5 days in training what he can bring.
You see it though. Players that come into environments on relatively short notice. Actually, Orange County didn't confirm some signings until the week before the season started. They'd have hit the ground running this year. As Quinn sprays it out wide for Ramos Godoy, cutting on to his right and strikes, and it goes in! Tomas Gomez beaten at his near post, and the substitute Ramos Godoy restores Orange County's advantage. St. Louis 1, Orange County 2.
Godoy with a rocket off his right foot, but you'll see in the replay, Gomez took a step to his left, and it was curtains after that. He did not have enough time to get back to the post. There's the step, and then there's the goal off of his hands. That is, while it was a nice shot by Godoy, that goal is on Thomas Gomez.
He should be saving.
He got both fingertips on it.
Right, he got hands to it.
But it was that one hesitation to his left. The ball curled to the opposite point, and he was dead meat after that. Boy, how deflating for St. Louis.
That's what Orange County is capable of. And it's kind of interesting, and we've talked so much about the passing and the quality that Orange County have played with, and yet their 2 goals have come out of relatively low leverage situations. One a long throw, and the other just kind of a winger cutting onto his right and having a strike from 25 yards out. But that's how they lead by 2-1.
Orange County goal scored by number
Da Silva.
19, Giovanni Ramos Godoy.
It's Ramos Godoy's 4th of the campaign. He also has 3 assists in 13 substitute appearances as another strike comes in from a long way out, but Lopez watches it harmlessly go wide.
Da Silva giving it a rip with his left foot. I'm fine if that's what St. Louis is going to resort to, because as we've seen tonight, goals are coming from unconventional places and in unconventional ways.
Poor distribution there from Lopez as Da Silva tries to slide in towards Greg. He wanted the first-time ball for Dikwa, and again given away, and again Da Silva will strike. Lopez with his feet at the moment, not with his finest work.
Now, Lopez made that a lot more dramatic than he had to, and Da Silva realized that for a moment Lopez was off his line, skied it off the top of his foot. But Da Silva starting now in critical moments for St. Louis. Ever since the Orange County goal, we've seen a lot of Da Silva, and it looks like he's just going to try and make things happen himself.
Not too many options available to Anthony Poulos on his bench to try and further change things. And throw on Seth Rudolph and throw on Aiden Stanley, who is playing in his, well, has yet to appear yet in his final match for St. Louis FC before going off to play college soccer, as Fall will cut onto his right. Here's Fall, forces Lopez into a save by Fall for Greg, who saves, didn't go over the line, it's eventually turned in. It's the loanee, Pierre Da Silva, with another equalizer. St. Louis FC will not die tonight. It's 2-2 at Toyota Stadium.
We have officially entered chaos mode. You see the cutback and the right-footed shot from Fall. It crossed up Lopez. Greg with the rocket. Lopez diving to the goal line. We thought it might have gone across on the Greg shot, and Da Silva followed the entire way. And bam, right into the back of the net. Da Silva had owned the last 2.5 minutes of play for St. Louis, and he deservedly picks up a goal on loan from Orlando City.
As you said, Ken, it might have gone over the line, but Pierre Da Silva was making sure.
Just excellent from St. Louis.
We don't have goal line technology, so you kind of have to play that way. You see Braden Cloutier incensed for a lack of a foul against Austin Ledbetter. And now this game has really sprung to life. We were lamenting the lack of goals in home matches for St. Louis. It's poorly given away there by Fall, who does eventually make amends by winning the ball back, and it is a free kick for St. Louis, but only 11 goals in 8 games before tonight, and now we've seen 4, and we still have 10 minutes to play.
We absolutely do, and suddenly it's back to St. Louis at home now, can go for the win. This is wide open, and Orange County has been a lot, in the second half, a lot more porous defensively in the midfield and in the back four than we saw in the first half, and really the opening 10 minutes of this second half, and St. Louis taking advantage.
Da Silva trying to poke it around Amico, but comes out for a throw, and as you said, Ken, it seems like Da Silva has really grown into this game.
He absolutely has, and Wolf Fall has been a bit of an unspoken hero tonight on the attack for St. Louis as well. He started that whole sequence.
Now Ledbetter. quite funny that at times tonight St. Louis was beaten by long throws, and yet they don't take them, given that the St. Louis manager's father is known as one of the biggest long ball merchants in world football. As Fall slides into the path of Deco, who tried to play it first time, but just came off his other foot. Still though for St. Louis. Ledbetter to swing the cross in towards Greg. Lopez coming out and punching with some authority.
That was brave. Well done by Lopez.
It was dangerous. Quinn going to play it first time towards Darwin Jones, and Reynolds coming across and reading very well.
Now, Chris, you mentioned how dangerous that was, and it certainly was, because you could hear Greg's footsteps, I'm sure. But goalkeepers, and especially someone who plays for the Honduran national team, he knows you need to play the position with conviction, and that's exactly what Lopez did.
Bierman. Play it for the goal scorer, Ramos Godoy. Now Enna Voltson electing to clip it towards that back post, and Jones. He had drifted offside, though. Certainly was in a position to square it back, but it'll be a free kick for St. Louis. 8 minutes to play. We've had plenty of second half drama. Orange County leading twice, 1-0 and 2-1. Now, if there is to be a fifth goal, in all likelihood it will be decisive. Here's Dequa. And Da Silva. And again, Amico doing some solid work on that left-hand side. Defensively, he's been brilliant, but the assistant on that near side says it came off of Da Silva on its way through. I think even Amico is surprised by that.
Yeah, he retreated immediately to get in position defensively.
Said he'll launch the throw. Cut up by Kavita. Was very far forward. Wonder if maybe it's St. Louis who feel like they've got the wind at their backs right now. It'll be a free kick for St. Louis. Seen at times Da Silva put these services a bit too close to the goalkeeper, Lopez. We'll still take it anyway. The 19-year-old on loan for just 2 matches for St. Louis from Orlando City in Major League Soccer. As Da Silva will swing it in. Again, it's too close to Lopez, who rises and catches despite, I believe, Kavita barreling in towards him.
No matter the distance, Da Silva is finding a way to fly it right to Lopez. That's got to be frustrating for him. That was far and away his deepest service, and still easily found it to Lopez, who went up and despite making contact, was able to make what is a fairly easy catch.
Lovely touch, though, from Da Silva. Sent himself on his way. Might still get there. Amico with the challenge. That was quite a coming together. Poulos wants a foul. I imagine Cloutier does as well. In the end, the referee lets play on.
I like it. I like the physical play. Both those two anticipated contact. They both came together. Shoulders were down. They knew it was coming, and it's play on. Hey, let's go. Let's get the 3 points.
This has been a full-throated affair tonight in St. Louis.
How about the worst home scoring team in the USL has put multiple goals on Orange County. They've conceded multiple goals for the first time in over a month.
Fall. Tried to poke it through towards Calistri, in the end gives away. Now the counterattack is on, and Voltson and Ramos Godoy face some pressure from Da Silva, but even though he doesn't win possession, Da Silva does at least slow down the counterattack from Orange County. Bierman and Quinn and Kevin Alston. Darwin Jones on this right-hand side. Gonna run it, Culbertson towards the byline. The low cross is in, but cut out by Reynolds.
St. Louis looks a bit winded collectively.
Yeah, when you spend the match trying to come back from a goal down, there's just that extra bit of effort it requires. And certainly not let up now. It looks like Wall Fall is totally gassed. Seaton trying to play the 1-2 for Enna Voltson. You see Fall again, just a bit slow to react. Kavita trying to encourage him. But Fall just looks absolutely gassed right now. Calistri doesn't. He's on his way for St. Louis. 3 defenders around him. The challenge comes in from Jones, and it was a clean one. Crowd doesn't agree. And Evolson charging on. Gonna poke it in the path of Seton. Kavita defending well. In the end, came off of Kavita and into the waiting hands of Gomez. Well, I think wanted to get something started quickly, but couldn't really. You see there, there's some real physical challenges coming in.
And that was just fine, that challenge from Darwin Jones. And before that, De Silva and Amico coming together. And I think both fine with no whistles.
Aiden Stanley is being prepared to come on for his final St. Louis appearance before going off to Duke. As the cross is sent in towards Greg by Da Silva. Might still fall for him, he strikes. And it was going wide, but Lopez got a hand to it just to be sure and concedes an Electro Savings corner.
That was great from De Silva. He saw it was popped up. He beat Amico to the ball, put a shot off target, but earns a corner. And here's Aiden Stanley before he heads to Duke, about to enter the match. And off comes Ledbetter.
It looked like he picked up a little bit of an injury.
Good timing on the substitution.
And it will be the corner to be taken by Pierre Da Silva. So Stanley with his 12th appearance of the year. He's made 11 starts. This is his first time as a sub. Da Silva lofted towards that back post. Dequa takes down. Now here is the substitute Stanley with a cross in towards, and it's spilled, and it falls for Fall, but the whistle had gone. It was Walls who got in there with Lopez and was judged to have fouled him. Fall turned in, but the whistle had gone for a foul before that.
Man, that was heart-stopping for Orange County as that ball's just laying there at the edge of the 6-yard box. You did hear the whistle, though, before Wall Fall approached and banged it into the back of the net. There's the contact, and that is the right call. That was a foul on Walls, no goal, and we remain level.
Certainly worth trying from Walls' perspective. St. Louis looked the more likely to get their third. And Evolson gonna spray it out for Ramos Godoy on this left-hand side. Working against Stanley normally as a left back. We'll play right back for the injured Ledbetter. It's clipped in towards Evolson. But Reynolds again there to deal with it. He and Walker Hume have been immense at the back for their respective sides. As is lofted in by Quinn, Gomez has to punch, and then it's Quiet coming together with Seton. And he just might see yellow for it.
Yeah.
Gomez grabbing at his left shoulder right now. That certainly was awkward. And the referee is going to signal for the medical staff.
And Gomez with a great punch. A lot of power to it despite the contact. Let's take a glance here. This is popped straight up into the air. I'm not sure we're going to see a card. Seton is allowed a right at the ball as well. It was physical play, and I think that would be very, very cruel if a card was shown to Seton. And there's Fink coming on. First time of the season, not in the starting 11 for St. Louis, and he comes on in the 90th minute.
He does at least appear in every match this season, but just kind of shows the lack of options right now. Fink is going to come on, normally a central defender, as there you see 4 minutes to be added on at the end of this second half. And Fink's really just going to be kind of thrown on as a big body to get on the end of service, really. As he comes on for Wall Fall, and it's Fink who's going to try and put Hume under a bit of pressure. It is sent long. Calistri trying to win it for St. Louis, and he actually might have done better to play on there with advantage as Da Silva was away on that right-hand side. It is a yellow, though. I believe it's Darwin Jones will take it. And a third yellow of the match for Orange County. It's Calistri who takes the brunt of this challenge. It's actually Bierman who will take the yellow card. And it will be service for St. Louis to send in the area. Da Silva again over it. Struggled a bit with sending it too close to the keeper. Got a bit more like it towards the edge of the area. Gregg getting something on it. Reynolds was there on that back post, but Hume alert to it. Throw in for St. Louis. Stanley to try and take it quickly. Doesn't have too many options available. Let's instead of take it with Culbertson. On his left, will try and play the cross and not enough height on it. Quinn there to cut it out. And Kavita fouls Seton.
See if Orange County can have a couple of more surges forward. But St. Louis, when it comes to urgency and moving it down the field, long balls definitely more suit them in a scenario like this as opposed to Orange County. You want to build and build and build, and there's just really not enough time for them to do what they are most comfortable with offensively.
As it's long for Seton, who's going to try and hit first time. It came off Reynolds on the way through, and Evolson nearly there to punish St. Louis, and it's away for a throw.
Well, St. Louis a bit ragged in the back, and it did turn into a dangerous long ball opportunity for Orange County. Now a throw in the attacking third.
And Kevin Alston not quite in the territory to try a long throw into the area. Who does try and work around Calistri. The cross is clipped in towards Seton, and Kavita doing just enough to put him off.
That was good by Kavita.
As Gomez sends long. Amico winning the header. Gregg going to try and do so as well. Might have fallen for Gregg. It will for, I believe that was Calistri who put way too much power in that through ball. It will be a throw in here for Orange County.
St. Louis midfielders and forwards have regularly, in the final 20 minutes of this match, outworked the back four of Orange County. It has been a complete role reversal from the first half, and there Gregg made it a lot more interesting than it probably should have been because he hustled.
As Amico slices his clearance, will fall for Calistri, who tries to strike from a long way out. And with a minute left to play, you wonder if maybe Calistri thought that was the last chance. There will be a goal kick, and you might just about think Orange County would be okay with a point. I don't believe St. Louis is, based off the way that they've handled these last few minutes.
No, I think that they still want to push, and it's been tough to pick up 3 points. They're now on the verge of going their 5th straight match without a victory. They haven't won since June 9th. Maybe they have one more run left in them.
Ball is sent for Darwin Jones. The run at Culbertson. Is there one last opportunity on Ed Volson trying to play it first time? Might still fall for Jones. And again, Reynolds, who's been immense at the back tonight for St. Louis. And might there just be one attack left? Calistri down the line for Gregg. Tries to return it. But the full-time whistle goes. Malik Badawi signaling full-time to a entertaining and captivating match here at Toyota Stadium. St. Louis twice coming back from a goal down. It finishes St. Louis FC 2, Orange County SC 2.
Gotta love how the pace worked itself out in the second half. St. Louis FC, a hard-earned point in the table. They're still the only club this season. They've done it twice to come from behind on Orange County and pick up a point in the table. But 3 was so important to them as they try and chase the top 8 in the Western Conference. As for Orange County, hey, it doesn't matter how you do it. You go on the road, you pick up a point, you feel good about it.
And it seems like everyone wearing a green shirt tonight is wearing this one. They've put in an immense effort to come back twice. And in the end, it finishes 2-2 as you have a look here at the second equalizing goal. That is a replay of the goal delivered by Domino's and Pierre Da Silva, who just makes sure, I don't believe it did cross the line. From that last angle we saw Da Silva making sure, and in the end, he gets the equalizing goal that finishes this match. St. Louis 2, Orange County 2. Coming up next, we'll have the Everett Jones postgame show, wrap things up, and bring you the full-time highlights. Stick around. St. Louis FC 2, Orange County SC 2 is your final score.
There's really only one place where the carpets are always red and the stars are everywhere you look. There's no place like Hollywood. Hollywood Casino St. Louis.
When you need quality electrical work for your home or business, look to the electricalconnection.org. Created as a partnership between IBEW Local 1 electricians and the St. Louis chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association, the Electrical Connection has been setting the standard for electrical excellence in St. Louis for over 100 years. You can depend on our highly skilled and trained workforce, your #1 source for quality electrical and communication contractors, electricalconnection.org.
There's Rudolph with a header and a goal! Right off the bench.
Oh, Calistri with the spin and finds a way to slot it past Fabian Serta. What a return game for Joey Calistri.
He lines this up. He's going to drill it hard. Early ball is in. It's tied to 2-2. What a free kick.
At Edward Jones full-time, it's St. Louis FC 2, Orange County SC 2. Chris Whittingham, Ken Levica on commentary of this one. We hope you enjoyed that match. We certainly did. That was an entertaining and enthralling affair between these two teams. But again, St. Louis go home with just the 1 point. The last time they earned a point in a match was at Sacramento Republic. They were 2-0 down in that one, and tonight had to come back twice. As we bring you our full-time highlights of this one. And Ken, the chances would begin with Albert Dikwa.
Yeah, Dikwa turns, left foot, fires it off the bar. It was an exceptional opportunity. Had the keeper beat, just couldn't keep it down. And now here's the goal, the first goal for Orange County off a long throw-in, and it's Bierman who has it go right off the back of his head, and it beats Gomez to the far post. Hey, it doesn't matter how you do it. That's as good as a set piece, and it's 1-0 Orange County.
And those long throws were certainly dangerous tonight for Orange County. Here would be another chance, as here's the near own goal from Austin Ledbetter. Would have been a class finish.
Look at that. The curler, unfortunately, is to his own goal. Gomez was beaten by his own teammate, but it went off the bar, and it kept St. Louis alive.
And here would be the equalizing goal. This is a Domino's replay of a goal delivered by St. Louis FC, and Kyle Gregg on the turn, bang, plenty of power behind it, and without that power, that doesn't squeak past Luis Lopez.
He had only been in the match for 10 minutes. St. Louis started to work the flank. It changed the second half. It all started on the edge on the wing, and then Craig able to beat the keeper with all of the defense spread, but we weren't done yet.
No, we were not. It was 1-0, then 1-1. It would be 2-1 through Giovanni Ramos-Godoy.
Godoy really should not have had this find the back of the net. Yes, it was a good attempt, but take a look at Gomez. Started to his left, had to dive back to his right. By that point, it was too late. He had beaten himself.
Here would be the second for St. Louis, and eventually the equalizer. Fall strike, saved by Lopez. Kyle Gregg shot saved by Lopez, but he just keeps it off the line, but Da Silva there to pounce and make it 2-2.
Relentless urgency from St. Louis. Gregg denied. It's played off the goal line by Lopez, who is sprawling. Da Silva's there for a deserved goal because he had been the best player on the field for the last 5 minutes at that point, and it was 2-2.
Nearly an incredible double save and prevention of it going over the line for the equalizer by Lopez, but in the end, it does finish 2-2 as you have a look at our full match stats, Ken.
St. Louis, 9 shots, 5 on target. That is much better than the 13-3 shots on target last time against Orange County. Possession, we knew it was going to be that lopsided, 59-41. For the most part, St. Louis, though, you like how they really shored it up in the second half. They played equal to Orange County, and it's almost unfortunate for them to pick up the single point in the table because that was very urgent in a critical time of the season for them where they needed 3 points.
No doubt St. Louis need to get 3 points in order to climb closer towards that playoff line, but you'd have to say of the two teams, St. Louis looked the more likely to get a winner in the final 15 minutes.
Yeah, they did. They were pushing the numbers forward. They were taking shots at Lopez's goal. If you're Orange County, you go on the road, you'll take that point. You're still in contention for the top of the table.
And while the St. Louis fans might have seen their team draw tonight, they can certainly go home fully entertained with this match. Pierre Da Silva getting the equalizer for St. Louis after Kyle Gregg scored the opening goal. Coming up next for St. Louis, they're away from home against Reno 1868, a potent attacking side. It's going to be a difficult one for St. Louis as they continue to try and pick up points on their way towards a playoff place. It's at Reno 1868 next Saturday at 9:30 p.m. So check out that one. If you're hanging out in St. Louis, maybe go to a bar in the local area and watch. As you can see, Reno, no doubt, a quality attacking team. But in the end tonight, St. Louis FC finished with just the 1 point, a 4th draw in 9 home matches. That might be something they end up ruining by the end of the campaign, but you have to say it was a point well earned tonight based off the way that the game transpired. That'll just about do it for us, for our terrific technical team here, for our USL production crew, and my broadcast partner, Ken Levicka. My name is Chris Whittingham, signing off from this one. St. Louis draw 2-2 with Orange County tonight. It was an enthralling affair. We hope you enjoyed it with us. That'll just about do it for us. Goodbye for now.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.